is Mayor live from Palm Beach, Florida, with the Capitol with the Capitol behind us because there's so much going on there. If you were watching, we concluded our 7 o'clock show on Lindell TV. That's called the Rudy Giuliani Show, with a report of an Iranian attack on Qatar, whichever you prefer. I think Qatar maybe is the more often used one. I should know I worked there for a period of time until I sort of was banned. I was banned like I am by the Democrats for working for Bahrain because they don't like Bahrain. Bahrain is too hostile to Iran. No, seriously. I'll tell you the whole story sometime. It's a little irrelevant right now, but I probably know Qatar better than any place. But in any event, they don't like me very much, which is okay with me. There was an Iranian attack. The missiles hit Qatar's Ras Laffan industrial city, which is, by the way, single biggest liquid natural gas facility in the world. And that's what made Qatar so rich. It's sitting on more natural gas well, it also goes out to the ocean, but in a fairly confined area for a population. Look at their population. It used to be 1 million something. Per capita, everybody's a millionaire, just about. So they hit the Ras Laffan industrial city, which is probably 3 times the size that I remember it. But I did do a lot of the security for it. I hope it stood up. It sparked fires. It wrecked about 17% of their export capacity. That's better than Iran has been doing. It's not catastrophic. Could be catastrophic. Shut down production. They say maybe years. I doubt it. Qatar described it as extensive damage. They expelled all of the Iranian diplomats, and they basically exerted force majeure on all their European and Asian contracts, which means they don't have to fulfill them because of force beyond their control and attack. Oil prices and went over $100 right away. Boom. And then Israel Iran said it was payback for Israel hitting the South Pars gas field. Qatar is not happy. And if you want to see some of the shots, I'll see if I can get them for you. Here's what it looked like from the actual more metropolitan area of Qatar. You can see. Do you have that? Well, why don't we put them up? While I'm talking about them. I had it. Yeah, there you go. So that's one of the shots. I'm not exact. I usually, this is too foggy for me to tell you exactly where that is, but I do know where the facility is, and this facility is, I guess, is slightly out of town, as you would imagine, right? All right, now we'll go to what it looks like. Here it is. This is what it looks like from the air. The facility is below, obviously, the smoke. The city is all along the coast. along that circular coast. The metropolitan area tends to be all toward the water, and you may think you're looking at Dubai, but as you can see, it's not as built up as Dubai. It's also richer, by the way. So I assume that Qatar is mad at Israel for having hit the South Pars oil fields and destroying them, which is the way it works there, because Israel's not supposed to defend itself. And Qatar doesn't defend itself. They do have an army. They do have an air force. And maybe what they should do is go hit the people that hit them instead of blaming it on Israel and complaining to the president. Now, the president did say, and Ted, I want you to see if you can find that. The president said a couple of days ago, if Iran would have hit Qatar, he would that he said he would do. But why don't we take a look at that? Yeah. So the president, of course, has told us that we have obtained a gift from Qatar. I hope it's not really a gift, because the last time, the only time I was given a gift like that, I gave it back, a gift from Iran. But the gift was given to us yesterday and sent to us today, and it involves oil and energy. But we were not told yet what the gift is. And the president took it as showing that the people we are dealing with are in good faith, number one, and number two, that they are capable of delivering. Now, there's a great deal of contradictions there, right? And they could very well be on purpose. So let's point them out. Number one, this was a ceasefire on energy. It obviously is not a ceasefire on anything else, because Israel hit Iran today hard. I assume they didn't hit energy facilities. I believe that there was some attacks on Israel today, but I'm not sure of that. The major attack today, however, was on Qatar. Now, remember, there have been days in which that's been the case. The whipping boy here in the past has been the Emirates, and whether that's still true 2 or 3 days later, I'm not certain, but where Emirates really took more of a beating than Israel up until about 2 or 3 days ago. Since then, there have been 3 or 4 pretty effective attacks on Israel. By that, I mean with more than 1 or 2 people dead, like 8, 9, a lot of casualties, buildings hit. I assume that Iran is throwing everything they have into it. Now, here's the strange thing about this one. According to the president's communication on this, which I guess was on Truth, right? It clearly says that there would be a ceasefire on power plants and energy infrastructure. Now, it's interesting as I look at it, and I didn't notice this before, Ted. Can we put this on up? Yeah. I think we have it. Notice it. Notice it says there would be a ceasefire on Iranian power and energy facilities. Right. So It doesn't say on Israeli, and it doesn't say on Emirati or Qatari, or is it just a one-way? Is this a one-way ceasefire? In other words, you can't hit Iranian power plants and energy facilities, but they can hit other people's? No, I mean, put it up, but I see what it says. It says Iranian. Here's and now I can't see that, Ted. It begins the same. I am pleased to report. I think it's the same.
Yeah, I'm trying to find a better view of it so it comes up.
Well, you don't need it. It very simply says, I have instructed the Department of War to postpone any and all military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period, subject to the success of the ongoing meetings and discussions. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Now, here's the point. Today, they took out 17% of Qatar's natural gas facility, which is the largest in the world. According to the estimates, it won't be useful again for a couple of years, and a bunch of massive natural gas contracts have been canceled by Qatar. Knowing what I do know of the facility, I'm surprised it wasn't better defended, number one. I mean, they haven't been able to be that successful in most other places with a 17% hit or anything even close to total destruction. They haven't been that successful in Israel. They haven't been that successful in the Emirates. It's true, Qatar's a little closer, but only a little closer. We have a massive military base there. They're probably our best in the region. They are hitting and saying it. They're hitting Qatar for in revenge for what Israel did to them, but leaving Israel alone. I think they have hit a couple of Israeli energy facilities, but not with as much success as that. So, don't you read into this a reciprocal obligation on their part for 5 days not to hit power plants and energy infrastructure? I would think you do. But I do think there's a separate statement by the president saying that, and I don't know if that attack occurred before or after his press conference. I'm surprised he wasn't asked about it.
I don't think it. Yeah, I'm trying to find out.
So, if you want, you could go through the. You could get one of these services like the one that I have that lays out probably not all the international publications, but all the main ones. And you could find every opinion on this war that you want. Just pick the one you want. How about the one from the Asia Times, in which it says America and Israel don't appear to be in a hurry to end hostilities. Now, do you think that's true? The president is making it appear as if he's in a hurry to end hostilities, right, isn't he?
Right.
But according to R.N. Prasher of the Asia Times, don't appear to be in a hurry to end hostilities, which makes regime survival less likely. Meanwhile, the president has basically said the war is won, that Iran has conceded on every major point, and it's all but over. At the same time, they're destroying or trying to destroy the largest natural gas facility in the world in another country, Qatar. They're still blocking the Strait of Hormuz. And as far as I can tell, Israel and the United States are still hitting them. The talks that have taken place that led to the switch in position on Sunday appear to have taken place all by telephone. And also in the middle of it, and probably the proximate cause of it was Iran hitting these Arab countries, and four of them getting together in Riyadh and pleading with the Trump administration to call a halt to this. Now, it didn't do much good. The president did call a halt to it, but Qatar got the hell kicked out of it anyway. So something's just not working here, right? There's a meeting over the weekend in Riyadh, now, albeit not involving Qatar and not involving the Emirates, the two places hit the most, but involving Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Egypt, and I'll get you the fourth country. The only country hit by the Iranians is Saudi Arabia. Neither Qatar or Emirates were involved in these meetings. And they, if the leaks are to be believed, called Mar-a-Lago, the White House, right, and asked for the president to see if he could find some way to slow this down, stop it, whatever. The president put out that post. Presumably there were conversations between some Americans and some Iranians, although the Iranians won't identify themselves, nor have the Americans for that matter. But we're assuming it was Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner would have to have been on the phone, I think. And it all resulted in this statement of the president, and so far one-sided agreement, because we haven't heard anyone on the Iranian side confirm, I don't think, that there is an agreement. Is that correct, Ted?
Correct.
The one person on the Iranian side that has spoken on this, the Speaker of the Parliament, who was kind of designated as the person that they thought was now in charge, has said that no such conversations have taken place. And when you see them hit Qatar and hit probably the most critical energy facility of the region, you wonder what kind of an agreement this is to have a ceasefire on hitting energy facilities, since it seems like the only one protected against that is Iran.
Right.
So excuse me if I'm confused, but I am. But CENTCOM declared today U.S. forces continue to aggressively strike Iranian military targets with precision munitions. So we're not hitting energy facilities. Now, President Trump's statement yesterday knocked Dow Jones up 630 points. What happened today? the price of oil had to get kicked up with the attack on Qatar.
Dow Jones down 84 points.
Well,
S&P 500 down 24 points.
well, that would reflect the confusion about the nature of the agreement, right? So when the agreement's announced by the president yesterday, price of oil goes down, the market goes up 630 points, right? And because they see it as a two-way agreement. Now, as you look at it, it starts to look like a one-way agreement because no one from Iran will stand up for it. And they are acting inconsistent with an agreement to not hit energy facilities. The president did say that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner began talks on Sunday with an Iranian official that he didn't name. They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. They called, I didn't call. They want to make a deal, and we are willing to make a deal. It's got to be no more wars, no more nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons anymore. Arab officials say, now this comes as leaks again from Arab officials, so take it for what it's worth. Iran has set a high bar for ending hostilities that is preventing discussions from gaining any traction. The Iranian National Guard has made a claim that it wants fees for, if anything is agreed to, they want fees for going through the Strait of Hormuz. They want an end to Israeli strikes on Hezbollah. They want U.S. bases closed. And they don't want to be in a situation where it'd just be real easy to start another war. Sounds a little like kind of a flip of Ukraine-Russia. What Ukraine wanted out of a deal was guaranteed security. The U.S. continues to push for a suspension of Iran's missile program, an end to enrichment of uranium, and support for regional militias, an unconditional opening of the strait. So, has there been any reaction, Ted, to the hit on Qatar?
No reaction yet.
So, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to acquaint you with another conundrum here, a difficulty, and see if we can locate it. This would be the allegation, the statement, the leak that Iran has a nuclear bunker that hasn't been hit by us, and that is about 330 feet below Fordow. So let's go into that and see what we think of it, and then what would have to be done about it. Because unless it is acknowledged and unless it is taken out, then they're right where they were before all of this started, which is 60% enriched uranium, which within 3 or 4 weeks could be made into a bomb. Only difficulty now for them is that we believe that a lot of their delivery capacity has been taken away from them, because a lot of the emphasis was put on hitting their delivery systems. So let's see what that's about, where it is, and what has to be done about it, which leaves another question mark out there about how you end this. We'll be back very shortly. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
And we're back.
Well, welcome back to America's Mayor Live. What I was referring to before I got before we took the break was that there is I don't know best how to describe this. Intelligence, sure. There's intelligence that there are two sites of great concern. One of them is between Fordo and Isfahan, the nuclear complex. And there, Iran is still in possession of more than 900 pounds of uranium enriched at 60%. And that it's in a base that has been fortified. And with that, what they have there, they are a month or less away from developing 11, at least, nuclear bombs. So that would have to be determined and destroyed to reach any kind of a peace here. That wouldn't be anything but a complete defeat for us. The second is that Iran is also believed to have created a deeply fortified facility at Pickaxe Mountain. Now, Pickaxe Mountain is located about 1 mile from Natanz enrichment plant, and it is about 330 feet below the mountain base, which would make it 30 feet deeper than Fordo, which was thought of as the deepest of the facilities that exist. So let's see if we can sort of locate this for you on the map. There, I think you can see this is the area we're talking about right in here. That's the area that we're talking. That's Isfahan, and that would be the first one. The first one between Fordo and Isfahan would be about, I guess, about right here, about right there, and the second, which is the second would be up around there, I think. But that's the area they'd be in, south of Tehran, south of Qom, which is the holy city. In the area, not terribly far from the area, and we're going to have them on in a little while, that MEK designated before the first attack, the 12-day war and the American attack, as a place with many newly built facilities to extend delivery systems. That would be basically here in that area. Can we show that to them, Ted? That'd be there. And there's Isfahan, the place we're talking about right now. The belief of the think tank that disclosed this, which is the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, is that the only way this could be taken out is by troops. That's the only way we could wipe it out and be certain that it was wiped out so that it could be examined as well. Otherwise, we're going to leave them with the ability to conduct nuclear war. And with the missile, the two missiles they shot over toward Diego Garcia yesterday, they both failed. One got shot down and the other disappeared. And neither one of them hit Diego Garcia, which is about the distance of London. But what they were trying to show is, I think they were trying to show that they could reach London. Well, they failed to show that, but they did show that they could get very close. and enough so that Starmer had an attack and had to take pills. Do we have Ali Reza?
He is still not. I'm texting him right now.
Okay.
Any minute.
So let's talk for a minute about the LaGuardia flight, since we haven't really. This. All the days that I was mayor, I was very, very concerned about the safety of LaGuardia Airport. And I should tell you, and this is not an excuse, this is just a fact. The mayor of New York does not control LaGuardia Airport or John F. Kennedy Airport. It's controlled by the Port Authority. It makes no sense at all that that is so, because it's outside the strict jurisdiction of the police department and fire department. They have their own Port Authority, fire department, their own Port Authority, police department, which is ridiculous. They also are terribly managed. And the organization, the Port Authority, is so corrupt it would be hard to describe. The Port Authority is a compact, whatever the hell that is, between New York and New Jersey, or better, between the governors of New York and New Jersey, controlled by the governors. They put together a board and they run the airports, the bridges, the tunnels, and then a whole bunch of other stuff that they've built, pork stuff that they've built, including the World Trade Center for a while, which is why it was so poorly built. And everything they do is corrupt and shitty. When I was mayor, I had Wilbur Ross, who later became Commerce Secretary under Donald Trump. His firm, which was one of the leading firms in the world, did a major study recommending the privatization of Kennedy and LaGuardia. And the lease was coming up, and I had taken the position, I'm not going to renew it, because I don't have control over it. And I left a report, and I recommended to the next mayor that he not renew it, take it back, and then privatize it. Here's why. I'm going to have the numbers wrong now, a little bit wrong, but you're going to get the concept. Both airports are enormously profitable, and the governors steal the money. You got it. They steal it. They use it for political reasons, and possibly who knows what else. One of the main political reasons is to keep fares and tolls and down, so that the population doesn't get angry at them. So Kennedy Airport or LaGuardia Airport, I think they make a profit maybe of these used to be like 80 or 90 million a year, which if you amortized it and you did loans, I mean, you could make them into the best airports in the world, and then they'd make even more money. Now, it is true that based on all that criticism, Governor Cuomo did a major rehab of LaGuardia, and he did the best that he could with it. Could have been 10 times better. It's better than it is. It's no safer than it was, though. The runways there are dreadfully small for the number of flights that come in and out. And the ability to increase them, limited by the crazy environmentalists who won't let you take any of Jamaica Bay, which had been taken for the runways, but now, preserving the fish and whatever the hell else they have in Jamaica Bay, although I don't recommend eating the fish from Jamaica Bay. You're not allowed to take it for the runways. Better we get people killed. The last death at the airport occurred before I was mayor in 1992, when the third worst mayor in New York history, David Dinkins. The worst is the communist, Islamic, terrorist admiring piece of shit that's there right now. The second worst was the communist de Blasio, and the third worst was the completely incompetent and corrupt David Dinkins. it was under David Dinkins that happened. And the airport was expanded once, but then any other attempts at expanding it lose to all the greenies and pinkies and whatever the hell else exists. And again, the mayor can't do much about this because the Port Authority runs it under a lease that gives them control. The mayor gave it to them. Some Democrat crook did it, or maybe it was Lindsay, who was a Republican idiot. I wanted to start the process of taking them back and privatizing them. And they'd make a fortune, and they'd be beautiful. And they'd give the city an enormous amount of money. And they'd be a hell of a lot safer. And you could fight the battles of getting extra landing space for the airport. And if you were going to close Rikers, which you shouldn't have done, I would never have closed Rikers Island. It's moronic to close Rikers Island. It's the reason that there are, well, no, it isn't. The reason that there are 7,000 to 10,000 criminals walking the streets of New York is someone known as Andrew Cuomo, who pretends to be a moderate. But you can thank him for the 48 cop killers that are walking the streets that got parole under his new parole, take care of the criminals and let them out of prison law. So if, in fact, I were to come back in another life as the mayor, and they had done away with Rikers Island, I would just build out and put four or five more landing strips there. Someday there's going to be a really terrible accident there. Now, this one apparently was confusion. I don't know that you can blame it on too few air traffic controllers. It appears as if they haven't been hit yet with the air traffic controllers quitting or not coming to work. So they had a full complement of air traffic controllers, I think. But if we listen, you will see that they were confused about this. Now, first of all, according to the experts who were former air traffic controllers and people who did security at LaGuardia Airport, when a plane is landing or a plane is taxiing, you are never ever to allow a truck on the runway. Now, that of course would have to be amended if it were a very, very serious emergency. Let's say you had one plane on fire and another plane landing, you'd have to find a way to get but there was some problem with some airplane, but it wasn't an emergency. So the protocol was completely ignored. And secondly, there was confusion about where the truck was. So let's take a look and a listen if we can.
So we're gonna play video.
What are we looking on the screen right now, Ted? What is that?
That's just not a good version of it.
I know this is kind of hard.
Was the vehicle needed across the runway?
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 1 and Company.
Truck 1 and Company, LaGuardia Tower, requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop. Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Stop, Truck 1, stop. Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. 646. 646, I see you collide with vehicle at the pole position. I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Fuck.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000.
Heading 2000, go around, Delta 2603.
Was the vehicle needed across cross the runway.
Truck 1 and Company LaGuardia Tower requesting to cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company, cross 4 at Delta.
Truck 1 and Company crossing 4 at Delta.
Frontier 4195 to stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000. Jet 646. Jet 646, I see you collide with a vehicle there, just hold position. I know you can't move. The vehicles are responding to you now.
Is the runway closed?
Delta 2603, go around, runway heading 2000.
Heading 2000, go around, Delta 2603.
LaGuardia Tower.
Truck 2, runway 4 is closed, correct?
Yes, go on to runway 4 now. Proceed on runway 4, you have access.
Tower, Carnage, to reiterate, LaGuardia Airport is closed at this time. No aircraft in or out.
Okay. All right, there's an incident on the field. We're closed right now. Just stand by. Frontier 4195, I got the word that we're going to be closed for a little while. If you want to prepare to return to the ramp, let me know.
Yeah, we got stuff in progress for that, man. That wasn't good to watch.
You're darn right it wasn't good to watch. A lot of questions about that. That of course that video doesn't answer. It's very dark. It's going to have to be enhanced. There are probably other videos as well. First of all, question number one: why was the fire truck, the fire vehicle, allowed on the runway when it was so busy? What was the nature of the emergency that the fire vehicle was responding to? It wasn't really that important. It doesn't appear to be. Number two. It appears as if they did tell the vehicle to stop. It's hard to tell how much time the vehicle had to respond to that. The impression that's given is that it was too late. But I wouldn't just immediately concede that without checking the time a little more carefully. There were several warnings: stop. And okay, stop means stop, not 30 seconds later. Why couldn't the truck see the plane? I can understand. Well, I mean, it could be that the plane could see the truck too, but I can understand that the plane pilots might not be able to see the truck because you're up here, the truck is down there. The truck, however, is on the ground, and even if it's nighttime, it should be able to see a plane. How does a truck go and get hit by a plane and not see it? It's getting warnings of stop. It has to see a plane coming toward it. Now, it could be that I've got I don't have enough of a command of the angles and don't understand that. Also, the flight attendant who was in the front got ejected from the plane. So there was no direction for the passengers. The chute didn't open and they had to jump off the wing. So it is a miracle, terrible and horrible, that the two pilots from the Air Canada Express flight 8646, which was a CRJ 900 jet, it's a shame and terrible that they were killed. But there were 72 passengers and 4 crew members. And I believe there were 2 dead, although at the beginning there was a flight attendant that was unaccounted for. Let's find out what happened to that flight attendant. The 2 drivers of the truck were injured and in the hospital, supposedly going to survive. Let's find out that also happened. And I think it'll take a few days before the NTSB can put this all together. The original onus for this was placed on the air traffic control, one of the air traffic controllers, who did admit to a mistake. But it seems a little more complicated than that. So we'll have to keep after it.
Ali Reza, I believe, give him a second to get ready here in position.
Well, we have a lot of questions for him, particularly with regard to this additional. Here's the expert. I still remember the night that he came on, the day after their, or the day of, or after their press conference, when they announced all those desert facilities. And that was about a day or two before the war broke out.
Right. And so we have Ali Reza on with us now. Yeah, there he is.
There he is. Ali Reza, how are you?
Good to see you, Mayor. Great
Good.
seeing you. How are you doing?
Good to see you too. We talked a little earlier today, and I have a question. It is revealed in one of these articles. I'm not even sure I know the newspaper now, that there is alleged to be 2 facilities in Iran that would be of concern. To us. Now, one of them is a place. It's a place that is near, right next to Natanz, and it has uranium enriched up to 60%, and that has been preserved despite the attack. And then there's a second allegation that there's another facility that is dug deeper than Fordow, and there they may have some more uranium stored. Now, I remember as if it were yesterday when you came on with all of the facilities that MEK had discovered in the desert. But those were facilities that were used for extending missile launchers and extending the distance of missiles. But this goes to the original whole issue here, which is they're having enriched uranium. So what can you tell me about this? And according to the Institute for Defense of Democracies that issued this report, they believe that this is so far below the ground that to really be sure that it's out, you're going to have to put some special forces in. So just tell me what this is sort of a surprise. So I'd like to see what you think about it.
Well, Mayor, it certainly is not a surprise to us because we know how much effort, resources, money the Iranian regime has put into its nuclear weapons program. This is a program that dates back to the 1980s. We're talking about almost 40 years of round-the-clock effort by the Iranian regime to build a bomb, the nuclear bomb. They have allocated tremendous amount of money and cost for this, and our estimate is that the nuclear weapons program of the regime has cost them $2 trillion. That's a lot of money for a country like Iran. Just think about, Iran is very oil rich. That's like, the main source of the revenue of the country. Yet all the oil revenue that the Iran regime has generated since they came to power in 1979 is less than $2 trillion. So that's how much this means for the Iran regime. Now, when we first exposed the nuclear site in Natanz in August of 2002, right here in Washington, D.C., of course, no one knew anything about this. And the President of the United States, 3 years later, in March of 2005, said that the reason that they know about the nuclear weapons program of the regime is because of our revelation in August of 2002. This was also conceded by anyone who's been working on this project. The crucial work that the National Council of Resistance of Iran has done based on the information they got from the network inside Iran of the MEK. Now, in 2002, when we revealed it, it was in the earlier stages. They didn't have a lot of these tunnels, but the world had a chance to really shut down that whole operation, bring it under intense scrutiny, and don't allow the expansion of that.
Remind me again now, the first one revealed was in 2002, correct?
Right. In August of 2002, the
And
nuclear site in
in
Natanz.
Fordow?
In Natanz.
Oh, in Natanz. Okay.
Right. Yeah. The uranium enrichment facility in Natanz, and actually there were two. One was Natanz, the other one was the heavy water facility in Iraq. But Natanz got, most of the attention. And because the IAEA, which wasn't inspecting Iranian sites until then, immediately asked for inspection, and they went back and forth and played with the IAEA, the regime did, and eventually they allowed the IAEA in February 2003. And they wanted to actually lock down some of the buildings where they actually had the pilot facility, where they had centrifuges. But we had immediately a press conference 2 days before that showing like where that building is, where the IAEA should go. We shared that information with the IAEA as their plane landed in Tehran. Eventually, they went there and found the centrifuges. And then, the Fordow that you mentioned, we exposed it in December 2005.
That's right. That's when
Yes, that they were building near Qom. And, between 2002 and now, we have had 130 cases of revelations of either nuclear sites or different projects. This has been a very consistent effort by our movement. And I guess you now understand why, at least one of the reasons that the regime is so hostile to this movement, to its leadership, to the MEK. They want them destroyed yesterday, and they have done everything to either destroy them, kill them, target them, or disseminate misinformation, demonizing them. But my point is that the world had a chance to really stop this program some 20 years ago. And imagine, Mayor, even if we hadn't revealed these sites at the time and all the other aspects of the program, all the different projects, the mullahs for sure would have had the bomb by now or by last year for sure. And that's why, this is a very important role that this movement has played, not just in exposing the nuclear sites of Iran, but you look at every rogue aspect of the Iranian regime, whether it's their terrorism, whether it's their missile program. You mentioned some of the sites about it. In 2018, we had a press conference right here in Washington. We exposed 42 missile sites of the Iranian regime where they were either building the missiles or they were using them as a launch facilities. And then in 2020, we had a press conference again here in Washington and later released the information about the drone program of the Iran regime. At that time, no one was talking about the drone program of the IRGC. We provided details, sites, programs, experts, the way they were actually, acquiring material and expertise from others.
Wasn't it Iran that originally, when the Ukraine war first started, Ukraine had quite an advantage over Russia with drones. In fact, the first year or so, the drones maybe is the thing that prevented Russia from taking all of Ukraine. The Ukrainian drones were so much, and Russians had no drones. I think they got the original drones from Iran.
Absolutely.
And then they actually improved those drones. And now they've given them back to Iran. But luckily, Ukraine has improved their drones. And we are now getting, we're getting like a fourth generation of Ukrainian drones that have been very successful in the last 4 months in Ukraine. In fact, they just took out a big power facility in Russia. The Ukrainians are doing what Netanyahu was doing. When nobody's paying attention, they conduct war. And they're hitting Russia now. But they are now providing drones that can counter the Iranian drones. And hopefully we've taken out enough of the facilities. But Iranians seem to be in the top tier, ahead of America and Russia even, for a while, about drones.
Oh, absolutely. Mayor, the one industry, just look at the level of the Iranian regime's industry, where the progress was made. Whereas every other aspect of the country,
Right.
you've seen things are declining. You have water problem, you have electricity problem. The oil industry is just like, deteriorating. But the industries that have really flourished and advanced were the nuclear weapons program and the missile program. Back roughly about 18 years ago, Supreme Leader Khamenei ordered the Revolutionary Guards, who at that time had parallel branches of the military in parallel to the army, which had the Air Force, the ground forces, and the Navy. The same thing existed with the IRGC. They had the Navy, the Air Force, and the ground forces. And Khamenei said, forget about the Air Force of the IRGC. So he dissolved the Air Force and turned that into what they called Airspace Force. There is no Air Force for the IRGC. They have Airspace Force, with the main focus being on missiles, which later on they added drone to it. And the missile technology of the Iranian regime, because they put all of the resources, all of the technology, all of the experiments on the missile, they advanced significantly, and they built, model after model of their missiles program. And many of it was actually modeled after the North Korean missiles.
So do you do you believe that this report from the Institute for Defense of Democracies, that there are these facilities, one of which, the one that really concerns me, is the one where it says that they have 60%, right now, have 60% enriched uranium. You believe that's the case?
Well, I don't know about that particular report, but certainly it's very plausible that, of course, the regime itself conceded that they're enriching uranium up to 60%. They have at least the known sites that we know, that many of which we exposed. We know that they have advanced centrifuges, that they were enriching at least to 60%. But who knows? They may have other facilities that were never inspected, they were never declared, and they're enriching uranium there, including the adjacent site to Natanz. But these sites could be built in other places as well, and you don't really need a huge facility, especially when you have the technology, you have already perfected the technology with all the experiments and everything. You need a small place.
The Washington-based Foundation for Defense of Democracies says, put out a report that that Iran is in possession of more than 900 pounds of uranium enriched at 60%. The material is thought to be spread between Fordow and Isfahan nuclear complex, where Tehran is believed to be building a new enrichment plant. It's also accused of creating a new deeply fortified facility at Pickaxe Mountain, located about a mile from its Natanz enrichment plant. Little is known about the facility, with Israeli outlets reporting that it could be about 330 feet below ground, which is 30 feet deeper than Fordow. So this is the report, and they believe, many experts believe, only troops can completely wipe out and be sure that these are gone. So does this sound like a responsible report?
Well, you mentioned in this report that Natanz is mentioned. In addition to the site that we first exposed in 2009, we exposed again back in 2000. I'm sorry, the original one, it was 2002. But in 2009, we did talk about, in one of our press conferences, about excavations and the tunnels that they were building underground in the outskirts of Natanz. And then there were additional reports coming out from other sources, but also from the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a UN nuclear watchdog, that they did mention that there are underground facilities there. Many of these sites have never been inspected, some of which they have, but many of them they haven't. Then you mentioned Isfahan, which we also had a lot of information about that. That was one of the three main sites that was a main targets in June of 2025, and of course Fordo. So
now these are all many of these are south of Iran, of Tehran, right? And they're kind of located in the central part of Iran. They're not far from each other. Even this new facility, these two new facilities, they say it's between Natanz and Isfahan. Well, I mean, that would be, they'd be very close to each other, right?
Yes, and the Iranian
Iraq
regime certainly hasn't given up its program to build a bomb, and they won't give it up until probably the very last days, because the nuclear weapons program of the regime is a guarantee for their survival. This is so crucial to the existence of this regime. That's why they have been allocating a lot of the money and resources. Think about all of the consequences that the nuclear weapons program of the Iran regime has had for it. We have had 2 wars and all the sanctions over the years. And ironically, the regime says, oh, it's all about energy, and it's not about that. And no one has problems with the nuclear energy, but the regime says that, no, I want to make my own fuel. This is all the program fuel for the energy. And, with the exception of Bushehr and very few little things here and there, no real nuclear, reactors are actually operational for energy purposes. So this whole thing is a big hoax. And it's, the Iranian people are paying the price. Where does the money come for spending these? This is the money that belongs to the people of Iran. That's why we played a pivotal role in exposing all of these nuclear sites over these years.
When you say
this is a very patriotic and nationalistic position of the Iranian resistance, because these things are used to keep the regime in power.
Explain to everyone who you're talking about when we say we, because they are very heavily involved now inside Iran.
Well, when I talk about we, of course, first of all, I speak on behalf of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. We are the U.S. office, and National Council of Resistance of Iran is the parliament in exile of the Iranian resistance that was formed in 1981 with the goal and agenda to overthrow the Iranian regime and set up for free and fair elections, set up a transitional government that would lead to the election of National and Constituent Assembly that would draft the future constitution of the country. Now, the parliament in exile also has, several member organizations and personalities with different backgrounds, all of which are focused entirely on ending the rule of the clerics. Now, one main organization within the NCRI is the Mujahideen Khalq, or the MEK, which has a very large presence inside Iran, all over the country, but also has a force of about 2,500 who used to be in Iraq and are now in Albania. They inside Iran over the years, they were the main target of the killings because they opposed the clerics since day one. They never endorsed Khomeini. They never endorsed his constitution. They never participated in the government, even though they were repeatedly asked by the regime to become part of the government. They refused because they saw them as rising fascism under the name of religion. So it's this movement that survived all of these years and has now become the center of hope for change in Iran, because inside Iran they have these resistance units, mostly young people who confront the Revolutionary Guards. They have now elevated those small cells who work together, integrate, and have become actually a national liberation army operating in Iran in a coordination. One example was just 5 days before U.S. attacked Iran, the MEK units launched an attack on the headquarters of the Supreme Leader Khamenei, inflicting heavy casualties on the IRGC who were protecting it. About 100, there were 250 of MEK members involved, and over 150 of them managed to leave the scene intact and safe. Just sending a clear message to the Iranian people that it's the Iranian people who have the major problem with Khamenei. It's the Iranian people who have the capability and intent to
Reza, let me
overthrow
just
the
stop you
regime.
for one second. So that was 5 days before the United States and Israel attacked, and before the bombing of the Ayatollah's facility and eventually his elimination. Is that right?
Absolutely. They launched on the 23rd of February.
The same facility.
The same facility, the same area. And this is a very, very secure area that involves, so many Revolutionary Guards. All of the main buildings of the government operations, are in that area, including, of course, the most secure being, the headquarters of the Supreme Leader. This is, it shows you the courage, the organizational capability, and the messaging that they had to tell the world that the Iranian people want the Ayatollah's overthrown. The Iranian people have the ability and the intent to overthrow this regime. This was a message to all the young people in Iran or anybody anywhere that this is the future. If we want an end to the rule of the clerics, nothing is going to do it except our own forces, our own fight against the IRGC. That was a very important message that was sent. And I think now, almost a month after that, the world has seen that we're in the 4th week of the war. And despite all of the bombings and everything, many people, even the people who were involved in the war, have concluded that at the end of the day, it takes the Iranian people on the ground, the Iranian fighting forces on the ground, to confront the regime and end the rule of the clerics. This regime is not going to be overthrown by bombing. Certainly they get weaker, but if the goal, which I think it should be for the whole world, but particularly for the people of Iran, if the goal is to end the threat of the Iranian regime by ending the rule of the clerics, that's how it's going to happen. And I think more than any time before, you can see the role and the value the asset that really this movement is, both inside Iran, but also outside, as in the form of the parliament in exile. And interestingly, this movement is led by a woman, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi. She introduced, she emphasized on the provisional government for the transitional period to transfer sovereignty from the repressive rulers of Iran to the elected representatives of the people of Iran, showing the world that we're not going to go back to the dictatorship of the past. We're not going to settle for the current theocracy. We're looking for the future.
That's wonderful.
Which is political pluralism and democracy.
Well, let me ask you one other thing, Felix. Today, Iran attacked the natural gas facility in Qatar. It's alleged to be the biggest in the world. According to the reports, they knocked out about 17% of it, which is substantial. Not eliminated, but now we have a strange ceasefire with them, right? The ceasefire is a ceasefire on Iranian energy facilities for 5 days. Meanwhile, the war is going on. Israel is hitting them, the US is hitting them, and they're hitting back. But they hit Qatar back rather than Israel. At another point, they had actually done more damage to the Emirates than to Israel. But Israel was attacking them, not the Emirates. But it seems like this energy ceasefire applies only one way. Here they've taken out Qatar energy facility. Seems to me they violated the ceasefire. But maybe I shouldn't get you into that. That'll be for me.
Well, obviously, Mayor, obviously,
they're not going to keep any ceasefire.
No, I understand. I mean, the first day of the war, our leader, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, the first statement she put out was about the protection of civilians, protection of the people, urging the people in Iran to take care of those who are injured and, provide shelters and all of that, but ask all of the the parties involved to refrain from hurting the civilians. So that's a very clear position. But as far as the Iranian regime is concerned, I think their goal is to expand, is try to put pressure even on their Arab allies in the Persian
And they
Gulf
are.
region. Many of these countries actually were helpful to the regime in terms of negotiations, in terms of providing facilities for them, providing facilitating a lot of the things that the regime is doing in the region,
particularly Qatar.
including Qatar, obviously,
Particularly, I mean, Emirates.
got a good relationship with Iran. But that's the nature of this regime. That's why we say the Iran regime is the head of the snake of war and terror. That has been their behavior over the years and will continue to be their behavior until we see an end to the rule of clerics.
They probably, and see if I'm right about this, they probably have killed more of their own people than anything else. I mean, they've killed a lot of Americans. They've killed a lot of other Arabs. They've killed a lot of other people, Iraqis, whatever. But they probably killed more of their own people than 120,000 of MEK people. And they probably have killed at least double that in just people in general.
Yes, Mayor, I'm glad you mentioned that because I always have this book with me, even if I go
right. As you
on
know,
a
I have
trip
that
or
right
anywhere,
inside.
I always have it. I'm sure you have it, a copy of
Well,
that.
you know
This
I
is
do,
so
right?
important. This name, you can see how thick it is. This book contains, this
go get it.
volume was published in 2006.
The Red Book, if you can
Right,
find
the
it.
Red Book, you probably have it there. And this contains the names and particulars, all of the details of 20,000 MEK members, including pictures of the prices being paid. These are all Iranians. These are, Muslims. The regime claims that, these are the Iranian population who disagreed with the Iran regime. They were murdered. And since then, there have been volumes and volumes of people who have been murdered. Add to it the inferno of war that the regime created between 1980 and 88. They continued this war, the Iran-Iraq war. They were sending children to the mine to clear the minefields. A couple million people were either killed or maimed as a result of the war, whose purpose, as far as Tehran was concerned, was what they said, to liberate Jerusalem via Karbala. That war was the machinery, was like a factory to produce Islamic extremists, to produce the Quds Force. The Quds Force that does nothing but terrorism was born out of the Iran-Iraq war. All of the top commanders of Revolutionary Guards that you can see now, they all have spent years in those war, the Iran-Iraq war. So the regime used that to build that thing and send a lot of people, got them killed. Okay. So that's why I think you're correct in saying more Iranians have been killed by this regime than any other nationality.
I mean, and that has to be considered. That has to be considered in the in what we're dealing with here. I mean, this is I mean, they could take out they would take out everybody to go take everybody down with them, right? Ted, get back there. So, what do we expect from them?
Well, Mayor, I think ahead of us, obviously, I don't know how things are going to go when it comes to, the war or anything like that. But one thing we have always kept the focus on, and I think it's paid off, is that no matter what happens in the region, the solution lies in the change of this regime by the people of Iran, right, and the organized resistance. And change is not just going to happen just by itself or simply people coming to streets and protesting because the regime has repressive force, and we saw what they did in January of this year. You need to combine that with the force that can fight the Revolutionary Guards. And that's what the MEK has been all about over the years. And that's why they're expanding their network. Even though over 2,000 of the members and supporters of the MEK were either killed or arrested just in January during the uprising, But that network has now expanded because they have a lot of appeal among the younger generation, especially in the past. After the January uprising, people are convinced that there is only one way that they can see their freedom, and that is to fight the regime.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Ali Reza. Good luck. Good luck. We'll have you on very soon again. Your insight.
Thank you so much.
Your insight is invaluable. Thank you.
I appreciate it, the Mayor, for the opportunity, for the great work you're doing
Well,
for informing the American public. Thank
well,
you so much.
We're praying very, very hard. Ali Reza is absolutely right. I mean, the MEK, the NCRI, groups like that, which are a unifying group. They include representatives of all of the ethnic minorities. It includes a 10-point program that already outlines the basis of a constitution that would be a liberal democracy, republic democracy, both similar to ours. So let's hope they get a chance to put in place that provisional government, which in 6 months would lead to a constitutional convention and then to an elected government, and one that would be non-nuclear, one that would be an ally of the decent countries of the world, which obviously number one is the United States. It's a very, very interesting observation by Walter Russell Mead in the Wall Street Journal today, that both the doves and the hawks turn out to be correct about or actually to be wrong about the same thing, about different things. And both of them have underestimated, and the opposite. So the doves, those who never want to see America go to war at all, right? They seriously underestimated the cost of living with this regime. I mean, very similar. Yesterday, someone compared the decision made by Jimmy Carter to the same decision made by Dwight Eisenhower, and also the decision made by Bill Clinton. And Dwight Eisenhower's decision was to empower these Arab dictatorships back during the Suez Crisis, and to have Israel stand back when Israel was ready to destroy them at the earliest stage. So you can see how much people worried about war actually created a lot more war, about 3 or 4. Similar. Clinton had the opportunity to wipe out the North Korean nuclear program, and decided that he didn't want to take that risk, and that he could talk him out of being nuclear. Well, now they can get halfway across the Pacific Ocean with their missiles. And if they ever can get all the way, we can thank Billy Boy for that. And taking them out now would mean probably a nuclear attack on Japan. That's where Iran wants to get. It would take a long time for them to be able to reach the United States, but they want to reach England, and it doesn't look like they can right now. Their attempt to hit Diego Garcia was a terrible, terrible failure. It was a success in that it showed a missile, an Iranian missile, going a couple thousand miles, which is a hell of a long way to go, a lot further than just Israel. But it was a failure in being able to get all the way there. And it was rather, one got one disappeared, and the other was easily taken out by one of our Tomahawks. But that doesn't mean they can't go very, very far now. And the question is, shouldn't they have been stopped back then? But the doves thought, oh, here it is, 1979, 1980. We don't want another war. and we can, over the years, talk them out of it. And of course, what happened? It got worse and worse and worse and worse. And even now, the Democrats and the doves underestimate just how damaging and dangerous and homicidal Iran is. Now, how about the Hawks, who wanted to hit them way back? Well, we should have. And we were held back too long and held on too long. And maybe we underestimated their power, because they're hanging on a long time. Being able to take out the Qatar largest natural gas facility at this point, after we have literally supposedly destroyed them. Now, it is true, Qatar is just across the lake, right? You can almost walk there. But still, this is a crucial facility, the largest natural gas facility in the world. It's in a country that has one of the largest American air bases. They were able, despite the destructive situation they're in, they were able to take out 17% of it, which virtually closes it down. So how much more do they have left? Is it more than we estimated? So have both underestimated here, the thing you never should do, right? And is the president playing for more time in order to get more forces there, so that you don't take too much of a risk, and you don't take a risk with not succeeding in being able to take back the Strait of Hormuz and leave it open to world commerce? Well, it's a very, very, according to Walter Russell Mead, I'll read the last part of his article. Mr. Trump launched what he expected to be a short war. One hopes that optimism proves justified. I mean, if we got it over in the next couple of weeks, it would still be a short war. But if the war continues for more than a few additional weeks, he will need to build broader support abroad and at home to carry it through, while keeping his MAGA base united behind him. That's a tough assignment. But nobody ever said being president of the United States was an easy job. I'm not sure Mr. Mead is correct about keeping MAGA behind him. I mean, what is it going to go down from 100% to 80? I think they're with him. They're with him. The rest of the country is another issue. If you want to, do you want to put on the screen the bases, and we can show them where these new bases are probably located. Do you have this, Ted?
I do. I took it down. I gotta bring it back up.
If you can. You should know that, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. That right there. Let's go through that really quickly. So that is the center of Iran. You see there, you see right toward the center, up top, Tehran, right? So the facilities that we're talking about, Fordo is right below Tehran. And I think we're pretty well sure that facility has been taken out. Now, it's between that it's between that facility, Fordo, and the one further down that says Isfahan. It's between Fordo and Isfahan. Isfahan houses uranium enrichment plants. Damage at 2 buildings since the war began. So 2 more buildings have been hit, and 18 buildings have been hit there already. But it's between those 2 facilities that the 900 pounds of uranium enriched at 60% is alleged to be located. So it's all kind of concentrated in that region. Now, if you see right above Isfahan, Natanz houses 2 uranium enrichment complexes, damage at entrances since the war began, concealment efforts in recent months after June 2025. Now, here's the facility we're talking about. The Pickaxe Mountain facility under construction would be deepest in Iran. And it says 260 to 330 feet. And according to the Institute for the Defense of Democracies, it is now at 330 feet below, and that's where it's located. So there you get a sense of where it is, and to get this war over, so that Iran is no longer a danger, and we can truly say, in word and deed, that we won the war. Those have to be eliminated. Tomorrow night, we'll spend a little time on a group called Shenyang. Shenyang is a group of loyal, wonderful Chinese people who are opposed to communism. It's a dance troupe that performs all over the world, and they perform traditional Chinese dance. That, in the process of a country becoming communist, they destroy a country's culture. Like the Columbus statue that we were talking about, that was taken down in communist Baltimore and put up now is being put up now, or is put up. We'll have to. I've asked Kara to go get a picture of it at the old executive office building. But we'll talk about Shenyang because China is beginning to attack them all over the world. And they've got the Times on their side, of course, right? There's a big election coming up in Hungary involving Viktor Orban. And Viktor Orban, of course, is probably the biggest fan of Donald Trump in Europe. But he's being challenged by a former member of his party named Peter Magyar, which I think was the name for the ancient Hungarians, the Magyars. And right now, because inflation is so high and other problems with the economy, and oh, by the way, Magyar's wife was Victor's former finance and or justice minister. So this is a little bit of an in-house situation. But Magyar has joined the other party. The Fidesz party is his party, Victor's. The Tizia party is the other party. And right now, Tizia leads Fidesz by 48 to 39. So that's a 9-point difference, 9-point disadvantage for Viktor Orban. And now Magyar tends to be more pro-Europe, whereas Viktor was one of the early Europeans to see the weakness of Europe. So this would be a kind of a movement in the wrong direction. Now, the liberal press would say just the opposite. Today, as I said, was election day here, and I voted, right? Supreme Court heard an election case yesterday, and that's a case that comes, it's a challenge really to the state of Mississippi. Now, who would ever thought the state of Mississippi, which allows voters to recall mailed ballots before election day. And the challenge is that that's unconstitutional. So the Solicitor General of Mississippi, who argued the case that struck down Roe against Wade, argued the case against the Trump administration. But it did seem as if at least 4, probably 5, and maybe 6 of the justices, conservative justices, would strike it down. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the end result is. Ukraine, as I pointed out in the conversation with Ali Reza, is supplying very advanced drones now in fairly large numbers to us and to Israel. Not only that, they're supplying the experts who know how to use the drones. And the drones have been enormously effective in the last 2 months. As I pointed out, originally the Ukrainian drones were enormously effective. Russia developed better drones. Now Ukraine has developed better drones to take out the Russian drones. Iran has the Russian drones, and they've been darn effective and very cheap. So it takes us, a couple $1 million to knock out a $10,000 drone. It looks like we're going to be using the Ukrainian drones and are already using the Ukrainian drone. Now, Ukraine is also, as everybody is keeping its eye on Israel, Israel hit the Baltic seaport of Primorsk yesterday that processes 1 million barrels of oil per day. And it's also the home of Russia's clandestine network of shadow ships. I took out some of those. Now, they also went after the power facilities in Leningrad. Now, there they weren't as successful. Most of their drones were intercepted. But in Primorsk, they did a lot of damage, and that was 62 miles from St. Petersburg. So Ukraine is making some advances while nobody looks. Aliens. It is really hard to believe, and we're going to finish with this because we're going late into the show here. A Chicago older woman Maria Haddon downplayed the terrible execution-style killing of Sheridan Gorman. Sheridan Gorman was murdered for no reason by an illegal alien, Jose Medina from Venezuela. He was caught sneaking in 2023 during the traitor Biden's administration. And he was allowed in. He was also arrested, and Chicago's sanctuary laws put him back on the street. That is Sheridan Gorman. Sheridan was originally from Yorktown Heights, New York, but this happened in outrageous murders by the bushel during the weekend Chicago, governed by a Democrat for 65 years without interruption. And there's the killer who never belonged in this country in the first place. Now, these are the people that TSA are going after, and that ICE is going after. ICE is now taking the place of TSA. And around 1:30 in the morning, they were at the Chicago Toby Prince Beach. And why were they there? And to see the Northern Lights. He came up to them They ran away, and he fired a gunshot that struck her in the head, and he killed her. Security footage has caught the whole thing. If it weren't for the shithead Democrats in Chicago, this young lady would be alive. If it wasn't for the traitorous Democrats in Chicago, this young lady would be alive. If it wasn't for Joe Biden, this young lady wouldn't be involved. And one of the Chicago Democrat alderwomen, Maria Hayden, said the following: we don't believe that they might have unintentionally startled this person at the end of the pier. We don't believe there's cause for broader community concern. Hey, moron, black people are getting killed left and right there for 30 or 40 years, and you haven't done shit about it. Why don't you just turn yourself in? This guy was released, Jose Medina. God, we got enough problems with the gangbangers in Chicago killing the black people in Chicago. You got to bring people in from outside to do it? And then go after our agents, our wonderful, brave agents who are trying to protect young ladies like this? Why the hell don't you get out of here and go someplace where you belong? I don't know where that is. Also, I mean, I could just go on and on and on, and I'm not. Guatemalan citizen Carlos Aguilar Reynosa, 27. Another damn illegal. Was babysitting for a 5-year-old girl on February 1st. He raped her. Carlos Aguilar Reynosa from Guatemala, who doesn't belong here, violently raped the toddler, leaving her bleeding and suffering from internal injuries. When the mom returned, he told the mom that she was complaining that her private parts were hurting. The mom took her in the bathroom and realized she had been raped. She had to undergo emergency surgery. Police arrested Reynosa 1 day later. Not easily. He resisted arrest. I hope they beat the shit out of him. Justifiably so, of course. But now catch this. This is in Suffolk County, New York. Reynosa was originally charged with endangering the welfare of a child, which, because of Andrew Cuomo and the present numbskull, idiot moron, who's the governor, and the entire ridiculous legislature, which applauded murdering children in the uterus. They actually applauded when they did it. Because of that, endangering the welfare of a child isn't bail eligible, meaning they'd have put him out. The guy who just raped a 5-year-old child would have been walking the streets of Suffolk County. I don't know who the hell runs Suffolk County. I think it's a Republican. I think I even know what the hell is wrong with you. Now, maybe, and I'll have to take that back. Maybe despite the sanctuary policy in Suffolk County, ICE had been notified because ICE was right there outside, and they picked the son of a bitch up. He had been given a desk appearance ticket. The Suffolk County police were going to let him go. Now, I want to check on this because ICE was there, which probably means the police violated the law that they have in New York because it's a sanctuary city and state. But I point this out to say, thank God we have ICE. Otherwise, this guy would be looking for another 5-year-old to rape. And now let's see how much money they expend to try to keep him in the United States, the left-wing traitors. What do you think? So tomorrow we'll cover the Muslim war against us here in the United States. and show you how it's being covered up, much like they were covering up the illegal aliens who were killing us left and right. And particularly their war against the Jewish people, but it's even broader than that. It comes right out of the Quran. And we'll go into the testimony of Secretary of State Rubio, because there is a major bribery trial in Miami involving bribery to assist Maduro. The Secretary of State is not charged in it. The Secretary of State is a witness for the government, but one of his former associates is the primary defendant, a former congressman. I think he allegedly got 10 or 20 or $30 million. That might give you an idea of exactly how terrible a criminal Maduro is. But involved in that also was Delcy Rodriguez. She was a co-defendant along with Maduro, and she's running the damn government now. I do not understand that. Sorry. So we got a lot to cover. We've got a lot to find out how exactly it's going to work out. Don't be frustrated if there's a lot of confusion. Shouldn't there be? Because if we were all clear on what's going on, so were the Iranians. So let's remember what wars are for and who they're fought for. They're not fought for CNN, as we used to fight them. They're fought to win, to protect freedom and democracy for us. But freedom and democracy for us is tied up all around the world. And when there are forces around the world that want to come here, kill you, and destroy you, if you're an isolationist, you're a fool. I'm not an interventionist, and I'm not an isolationist. I'm a sensible person. And so is the president. So all the isolationists on both sides, why don't you go back to grammar school, huh? Because that's where you belong. You do not belong protecting people in a world that is as evil and as vicious as this one. And when we fix it, you still aren't smart enough to do it. So let's pray for the people of Israel. Let's pray for the people of Ukraine, who seem to be making some advances while everybody's looking the other way. Thank you very much to Ukraine for supplying the drones. I think they're going to help a great deal. Let's pray for the people of Iran, that they can rise up, as Ali Reza is talking about, and take back their country from the maniac followers of the Quran. And God bless the people of America, and particularly our people who are on the front lines right now. God bless them, and God bless the president, and give him the wisdom to keep track of all this. It is complicated. As I said, it's a 10-card Monte game, not 3 or maybe 100. But if anybody can play it, he can play it. God bless the president. God bless the American people. And God bless America.
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk,